friends, it's Kristine Vicente with Queen City Stamp Art, and I'm back this week with another Christmas in July card idea. This time I'm going to be using the Regal Reindeer stamp set and the coordinating reindeer dies. These items can both be found in the Stampin' Up! 2023-2024 annual catalog, and they were carryovers from last year's holiday catalog. They're beautiful products. You can make gorgeous cards with these products. I'm going to show you kind of a bumped up version, but I'm going to actually make you a more simplified version. So let's go make a card. So this is a little close-up of the products we're going to be using today. The Regal Reindeer stamp set has some beautiful images, 11 gorgeous red rubber cling stamp images, and they're very detailed and very fine. This really makes it easier to make simple cards because some of the coloring is already done. And I'll show you a bumped up version of the card I'm going to make for you today, where I don't actually color the images. I just stamp them and die cut them and use them as they are. The dies are also a wonderful addition to this little product bundle. So these were bundled at one time. They're no longer bundled. You'd have to purchase them separately. But there's an outline for each of the big reindeer, an outline actually for all of the images, the girl, the bunny, the trees, everything has an outline. And then they also add some detail dies, a little scarf, a little fox, some detailed bridle components for the back of the reindeer. There's some little Christmas ornaments for the die cut detail tree, as well as some little jingle bells and a star for the tree as well. So some very cute images and great little details, as well as a couple of little snowbanks, which are fun. So this is a very nice die set. And again, it coordinates with the Regal Reindeer stamp set. So let's go ahead and get into the card making. So for this card, all of the materials that I use to create this card are actually on the project sheet over at my website. So the link to the website, queencitystampart.com, is in the bottom of the video. So you're going to need, if you want to craft along with me, I'll just kind of rattle off what I'm using. I'm using a base card in basic white thick that measures 8.5 by 5.5. I scored it at 4 1/4, and we're going to give that a nice fold. Then I cut a layer of white, just basic white cardstock, and I ran it through the Timber 3D embossing folder. And I'm going to add this layer to my base card. I love a card that's white on white. I just think that's so crisp. It looks so clean and nice. And the emboss layer really adds a nice layer of interest to the design, even though it's kind of simple. But this also helps the focal panel to really pop off the base card. So in addition, you're going to need a few other pieces. You're going to need a piece of cherry cobbler that measures 4 1/8 by 3 1/8, and a piece of boho blue that measures 3 by 4. So for these two pieces, I'm going to take some ink pads here. I've got cherry cobbler and pebbled path. I'm going to take my pebbled path, and I'm going to use this to stamp some snow onto my little boho blue panel. This kind of creates a little background for the rest of the components of this card. And it's a fairly simple design. So I'm going to go about 3/4 of the way down the sheet. And I also have a little scrap. I'm going to stamp the little bunny image onto the scrap. And then I'm going to die cut this out. And when I do that, I end up with this cute little bunny. Then I have this little tag, and I'm going to use the cherry cobbler ink to stamp the sentiment. And I'm going to go with Peace on Earth. And I'm just sort of centering that on the tag. And then I'm going to close up the ink so I don't get my fingers in it. Now, I want to create a little scene. So what I did was I die cut 3 of the trees from the detail tree die in shaded spruce cardstock. And I'm going to show you how we're going to cluster those in a second. But I just want to add a little snowbank. So what I did was I took a little scrap of basic white cardstock, and I'm just going to take my scissors and just kind of make a little wavy line on this strip. And I'm going to glue this to the bottom of my boho blue panel. You don't need any fancy dies to make a snowbank, in my opinion. I think it's pretty easy to just do it freehand. So I'm just going to trim the edges off. So I've got this little snowbank. And now I'm going to create this little tree cluster. So the easiest way to do this is to take a little drop of liquid adhesive and place that on the tree. And of course mine is clogged, so never mind that for now. We'll just use some tape runner. I'm just going to put a little bit on there. And I'm going to layer these two trees so that they're side by side, just like this. Then I'm going to take some mini dimensionals, and it helps to have the mini ones in situations like this. I'm going to add 2 of them to the center, right where the 2 trees meet. And I'm going to put some, I'm going to add a 3rd tree to the middle here, but I'm going to set it, I'm going to place it so that it's a little bit lower than the other 2. This increases the dimensional look of it. Then I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to add 4 more dimensionals. I'm going to add 2 low and 2 a little bit higher just to support the design, this little arrangement. Then I'll take these off, the backing, and we're going to add it to our little scene. And I'm going to make this, I'm going to put this in the center. So I want to make sure all of the tree bottoms touch the snow, just like that. And then I'm going to add a dimensional to this tiny little bunny. And I think these cards could be made relatively quickly as long as you did it in kind of an assembly line style. So you cut everything, emboss everything, die cut everything, and then assemble. So I added a little embellishment there, a little dimensional to the back of the bunny. And now we're going to add some dimensionals to the tag. And I like to add dimensionals to the tag and attach the tag before I do any, before I tie the ribbon. So we're going to add a little bow to this little tag as a detail. But I like to add this onto my project first because it gives it a place to anchor, and then it's easier to tie that bow. So I'm just going to feed some linen thread through the hole. And now I can tie the bow pretty easily because it's staying put. And you can adjust the tails on your bow, making them as large or small as you like. Oops, there we go. And now I'm going to add this panel to the little red layer panel just to add a little bit more festive color scheme to this. It also pulls the red from the sentiment into the card design a little bit more. So I'm just going to center this onto the panel. This is a very thin border. It just adds just a touch of red, touch of extra red. And now we can add this to the base card. So let's add some dimensionals. That's what makes our card so special. So I'm just centering this on the front of my card, and you can still see some of the embossing around the edges, which is really fun. And then to finish this one, I'm going to add some of these beautiful festive pearls. These also are a return from last year's holiday catalog, and I love these. They come in 4 different colors: a soft green, a soft red, silver, and gold. So I'm going to get my Take Your Pick tool, and I'm just going to place a few of these onto my card. Like that. And that should do it. So it is a very simple, clean card that you can create pretty easily in multiple. It would, like I said, be a little bit more involved than the some of the other cards I'm going to be showing you in this series. But that's one version. Now, an even simpler version would be to take the tailored tag dies and cut a tag shape and create a similar scene but on a little tag and omit the bunny. So basically there's no layer panel. That's one less piece you'd have to cut, one less bit of stamping and die cutting for the bunny, but it's still a really pretty card design. Again, very simple, but it would look great in multiples. And then finally, the bumped up version of this would be this version. So this version of the card Has a slightly larger panel. This is 3 1/4 by 4 1/4 by 3 1/4. And again, with a 1/8 inch margin on the cherry cobbler. The color scheme is exactly the same, boho blue, shaded spruce, and basic white. And then I use the Pebbled Path ink to stamp and die cut the bunny and the bowing reindeer. Now, I think this is really pretty. I love this card. It's just a lot of extra steps. So when you're mass producing, it might not be the best option. One of these would probably be better if you wanted to mass produce a card using this combination of product. So I hope you enjoyed the cards today. Feel free to pop over to queencitystampart.com and pick up a free printable so you have all the dimensions for this card, and you can get a closer look at the cards too and pin them to Pinterest if you'd like to save them. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it.